Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about yield farming on PulseChain and how to make money when PulseX comes out. What is the optimal strategy to spend your PulseX tokens or to stake them, or what can you do with them? What is a DAO? We're going to cover all that stuff. If you don't know or you haven't heard a lot of these terms before, stick around till the end because we're going to cover everything about why I keep getting more and more excited about this PulseX thing and obviously PulseChain and Hex in general, and why I really think they're set to explode in this coming year after PulseChain releases in 2022. But guys, first of all, let's define yield farming. Yield farming is really just a way of saying you do something and you earn something for doing that thing, okay? So in more specific cases, it's typically referred to as liquidity providing. You put up liquidity in an automated market maker such as Uniswap, and you are rewarded with a secondary token on top of transaction fees, because you always make transaction fees, right? That's always there. But you're yield farming an additional token, which would theoretically have a value, and most of the time it does because people tend to trade anything, no matter what it is. I mean, I've seen some of the dumbest ideas and people still trade them, they still have a price, you know, so yield farming is essentially just that. And PulseX is going to have yield farming too, okay? So every successful DEX, decentralized exchange, has basically had yield farming so far. It wasn't really around when Uniswap first came out. I think they might have added some of it a little bit later, but SushiSwap had it, you know, QuickSwap, PancakeSwap. All these new DEXs pretty much have incentives to basically make their platforms more sticky, okay? So you want people to come, but you want them to stick around for a while. And there's so many competing platforms, and in crypto, everything is a fork of a fork of a fork. You know, everything is a clone with added on, you know, features on top of it. So nobody's really reinventing the wheel here, especially not Richard Hart. That's the whole ethos of Hex and PulseChain. We're not reinventing the wheel, okay? We're taking what already works. We like stuff that there's been a precedent set for, and we're adding cool new features on top of it, okay? We don't want to... You hear Richard say this all the time. He doesn't like beta testing other people's software. So when there's millions of dollars on the line, you don't want to be the one testing out some crazy new scheme, right? That might or might not lose everyone's millions of dollars because people get really angry. I mean, there's money on the line here, okay? So yield farming, we know it works. We know it makes platforms sticky, and there's going to be some really cool differentiated factors on PulseX's version of yield farming on PulseX.com. So what is it? Let's talk about it. Again, you're earning an incentive coin for the act of providing liquidity. Now, we need liquidity, right? For a platform to work and for people to be able to trade on, you need to trade using the liquidity provider's money. You know, that's what decentralized exchanges are. Instead of the central party putting up liquidity on the order books, the people put up liquidity, and you're basically trading using other people's money. Now, this coin doesn't have a name yet, okay? It's really important that you realize this because a lot of people might be confused about what is this yield farming, how do I do it? Well, the token that you're going to get as a reward in the future, as of right now, does not have a name. So today is February 8th, and it doesn't have a name yet. But, you know, if you're watching this video a month or two from now, maybe chances are it probably does have a name, but it's not PulseX. So yield farming token is different than PLSX. So what you're going to do when this platform launches, and I'll show an example in a second, is you're going to pick your favorite coin or your favorite pair, right, that you want to provide liquidity for and LP for it and get paid to do so. Now, why do you want certain pairs with high liquidity? Well, if, for example, you are providing high liquidity on an E version and a P version pair, so for example, E Chainlink, P Chainlink, or E Shiba, P Shiba, or of course, I've always talked about P Hex, E Hex. The more liquidity in these pairs, the more the prices are bonded together. And the more that when somebody trades and buys one, the other one will go up in price with it. And the more that somebody sells one, the other one will go down in price with it, right? But we want high liquidity on certain pairs, wink wink Hex, right? Because we want these prices to move up and down in lockstep together. So how can you do this? You can incentivize people by giving them a shiny new object, aka yield farming PulseX token, whatever it's called. Now, you're going to earn some percentage APY, so they're going to have a staking rate or a general rate. So, you know, theoretically, if you left your liquidity in these pools for a year, there would be some set percentage rate in which you'd be earning money or yield on your initial bags that you put up for liquidity. Now, an important distinction to make is that the LP rewards token, the no-name token, is purely inflationary. There's no pre-sale, as I know of, okay? So there's no way to get it early. And it inflates just by being given to rewards to people that are incentivized to put up liquidity. Whereas PulseX, on the other hand, is totally deflationary. Now, we already know this, but Deflationary means there will never be any other coins minted. So all the coins that will ever exist are either being claimed right now in the PulseX sacrifice phase, but once the sacrifice phase is over, these are the allocations that we're stuck with, okay? Everyone gets allocated their PLSX coins. No new ones are ever going to be created. In fact, they're only going to be burnt by the buy and burn function, which I talk about in previous videos. So this creates scarcity, right? Digital scarcity, which is one of the innovations that blockchain really invented. And this is one of the last things that we need to go live before PulseChain launch. So I know really what Richard has said is that in order for PulseChain to launch, we just need to finalize the credit allocations and determine how much to give everybody. How much of what coin does everybody get from their respective sacrifice phases? We need testnet v3 out. We need the AMM fixer bot to fix the price ratios. I've talked about all these before. And finally, the DAO smart contract, which the DAO contract will allow PLSX holders to vote on which liquidity pairs to get this reward token. So your vote will be proportional to how much PLSX you hold. Now, chances are there's going to be some kind of origin address entity, so I predict that you're going to want to vote the way that the OA type entity would be voting, because they're going to have the lion's share of the vote. And that's kind of why, to be honest, guys, voting or governance contracts in crypto are a farce for the most part. I mean, look at any contract, right? Look at the Uni governance protocol. Like, you got the founders owning the majority of the tokens in a lot of these voting protocols. And that's because you don't just want any old pleb off the street to have an equal voice as somebody that knows the ins and outs of this complicated technology. Right? That's part of why, people have thought about even redesigning the voting system currently to require people to take a test to show some level of intelligence before they deserve to have a vote in the system. In crypto, how they're tending to handle this is they're just basically allocating more tokens toward devs, founders, people that are really in the know, early adopters, hexagons, maybe. At least that's how I anticipate it working in the PulseX DAO, because it's going to be a fork of existing DAOs, and that's how I've seen a lot of existing DAOs work before. Now, before we go into some real life examples and get you really excited, let's just go into some details, right? What are the risks of all this? Well, one thing you could do is you could have impermanent loss, okay? So impermanent loss is always a risk, and that's just the risk that if I provide liquidity in a pair, what is the risk that one coin in that pair goes way up in value and I'm left holding a bigger bag of the other coin and I'm left holding less of the coin that went up in value, right? Whereas if I would have just held the coin that went up really high, I would have been better off in USD terms. Okay, so this is an issue, for example, in Hex USDC, right? People putting up that liquidity in a bullish environment, they might be left holding a bigger bag of USDC, whereas people bought so much of the Hex that now they're left with less Hex, but the Hex that they would have had if they had just held it is up way higher in USD terms versus the little bit of USD that they got as a reward for providing liquidity. So this is always a risk, and that's why we say that LPs are short volatility. That means they benefit the most when prices are stable and when people are trading in and out of coins all day long, but they don't really move the price up and down a lot. So the takeaway from this is that LPs benefit from price stability, right? Think about that. What if there's a whole lot of liquidity in that Hex-EHEX pair that I've been talking about? Well, it leads to price stability faster. It leads to swings of the price of Hex going up and down together on each version of both chain. Ultimately, it leads to a lower chance of impermanent loss. However, there is always a chance of impermanent loss, and I don't really recommend liquidity providing to anybody that's not already kind of a bigger holder and at least kind of knows what they're doing. Okay, if you're just trying to secure your bag of Hex and PLS and you haven't even done that yet, worry about that first. Okay, worry about setting up your staking ladder and getting your PLS bag and everything before you worry about liquidity providing. I'm just telling you about what a lot of other people might be doing that are playing more of these whale type of games. But that's not to say that nobody should be providing liquidity. And one of the reasons you might want to is that because you get both sides for free. That's one of the real innovations here, guys. It almost costs you nothing, because if you're holding an ERC20 coin at the time of the fork, we all know this. I've been saying it on repeat for the last 8 months now. You're getting a copy of that ERC20 on the PulseChain for free for doing nothing at all. You just sit there, and when the PulseChain fork happens, you have all these coins over here on PulseChain, and you have all these coins over here on Ethereum. So let's say you've got your Shiba on ETH, your Shiba on Pulse. Well, instead of just dumping your Shiba on Pulse, what you could do is bridge in your Shiba on ETH into the PulseChain ecosystem, provide liquidity on the SHIB eSHIB pair, okay, and then start earning that LP reward token. Your value just ticks up a little bit every day. You earn a little bit more of that LP reward token proportional to how much of the liquidity pool you're providing. So if you're providing, 1/10 of the liquidity on that pool, you'll get 1/10 of the rewards distributed out to that particular pair on that day. And how much rewards does every pair get? Well, that's determined again by the DAO voting contract. Some examples I want to talk about, guys. Let's get into some examples. QuickSwap and CakeSwap, right? Look at this screen right here for QuickSwap rewards. QuickSwap is a layer 2. It's not really important what it is, and it was used way back when, but it gives you a sense of what an LP reward token would be, right? So when you first get to the homepage, it looks like any other swapping platform, right? Then you go to farms and you go to LP mining. That's essentially what we're doing. We're LP mining, LP farming, yield farming, whatever you want to call it. And you can see all of these pools right here are the ones that are incentivized using DQuick, and they're getting, for example, this pool, the ETHUSDC pool. If you provide liquidity on this pair, you're getting some fraction of 28.43 DQuick per day. So again, if you're holding 10% of that pool and you're putting up 10% of liquidity, you're going to be getting 2.84, DQuick per day. And now there's some conversion thing where you can convert DQuick back into Quick. That's not really important right now. We're not here to talk about Quick, but you can see that that's at current prices of Quick, you might be earning about $400 a day if you're really providing that much liquidity. But now let's look at the price chart, right? The price chart of Quick, it didn't do so great, right? This is the log scale, and it did pump a little bit at first, and it made an all-time high at about $1,200, maybe $1,400, and it's really died ever since, guys. It's never made a new all-time high. Granted, it's only been out for a little under a year, but QuickSwap price chart didn't do so well, and that's part of why I wasn't so excited about PulseX at the beginning. But again, I'm going to differentiate at the very end. I'm going to tell you why PulseX is not the same as this price chart or the Cake price chart, and why it's actually going to be different at the end. So it's really another genius Richard Hart move. Go figure. PancakeSwap, right? This is PancakeSwap. What is it? Basically just a regular trading platform on first glance. However, they've got all their little game theory things too. They've got, the trading competitions, lotteries, stuff you would never see Richard Hart adding. This stuff is just total degen crap, really. I mean, playing a lottery every day, you're going to lose all your money. Trading competition is kind of a joke, right? It's like, why would you want to compete to see who loses faster? But however, earning, right? The earn tab here is what's really cool. This is what we're basically, in my opinion, what we're basically going to be forking the PulseX yield farming platform off of. Because, PulseChain itself is already a fork of Binance Smart Chain, which is a fork of Ethereum, right? Everything's a fork of a fork of a fork, like I said. But the yield farms is what they call them. They're basically just places where you just go put up your liquidity and you get paid for doing so. Now they pay you on PancakeSwap, they pay you in the Cake token. And I should mention PancakeSwap is Binance's trading platform, automated market maker. PancakeSwap is Binance's Uniswap, okay? It's the PulseX of Binance. I know there's a lot of names, and if you're new, it might be confusing. Try to keep up with me here because it's not really important, all these names. All you need to know is that with farming, yield farming, you can incentivize different pairs to have more liquidity. For example, the Cake BNB pair is obviously the highest incentivized token on the Binance Smart Chain because these are the two tokens kind of native to BSC, right? These are core tokens in the BSC ecosystem. Therefore, they're getting a multiplier of 40x of all the Cake that's minted, which is not important, right? But they're getting an APR, let's say, of 37.14, which is pretty high. An annual percentage yield of 37% just for locking up your tokens in this liquidity pool and letting people trade in and out. You might suffer some impermanent loss, but I would be willing to guess that 37% APY will offset any potential losses from impermanent loss. And obviously as well, you can see the BUSD BNB pair also highly incentivized. My guess is because, these are just in the BSC ecosystem. So similar to how I would expect, Hex PLS to be one of the highest pairs and then Hex EHEX to be one of the next highest pairs. And it's really, whatever's on this list, guys, whatever you see at the top of this list is going to be determined by the voters in the DAO smart contract. So whatever you and I vote on, and I'm going to vote on the coins I hold, right? I'm going to vote on the coins I like. I want to pump my own bags, and I want to pump your bags too. I'm hoping that your bags are the same as my bags. So we're actually going to be able to have a vote in what comes up at the top of this list and what we want to incentivize the most. So start to think about it and visualize it this way. One really cool thing that Richard just mentioned today in a tweet that got me all excited is that they've also got, staking features as well. And originally PulseX wasn't going to be a staking coin. It was just going to be buy and burn and then totally deflationary. However, I'm thinking Richard might copy something that PancakeSwap also does, which is they allow you to stake their Cake token. Now remember guys, Cake is equivalent to the PulseX of Binance world, okay? Now they've got a couple of options here. They've got manual staking for cake. So you just stake your cake, you earn more cake. They've got auto cake, which is basically you stake your cake, but it automatically restakes it for you. So you don't have to go click the button over and over. And then they've got something called IFO cake, which just entitles you to get in on other, ICOs of crap coins. That's not really important, but it's also a very simple UI, right? You just enable it on your MetaMask wallet. You lock tokens in here and you get paid in an LP reward token, hypothetical no-name token, just for staking your PulseX, right? So this would be one more one more reason not to dump your PulseX right away. If there's another little mini game you can play where you're just locking it up, getting interest and farming or yield farming, whatever you want to call it, in these pools, it's just another mechanism to take away sell pressure, essentially. So let's see how that worked out for PancakeSwap with all those additional features. Well, you can see their price chart did a lot better, right? It started off, let's say you bought around 50 cents or so. Now it's hovering around $8. And that's a 16x in the 2 years that it's been around. 16x is not necessarily life-changing money, but it's pretty good. So that's PancakeSwap, and that's clearly doing better than QuickSwap. Why is it doing better? Well, if I had to guess why, I'd say it's because of all these additional features, these side games, this crap like lottery, trading competition, NFTs, whatever, but farms and pools primarily. These are incentives to take sell pressure off the market because it unlocks new functionality for these coins. So I believe there are potentially plans for staking on PulseX too. I don't know. It was just a teaser. PulseX would be fine without it, but whatever happens, I think there's going to be a lot less sell pressure on PulseX because of this one single reason that I'm about to tell you, okay? What does QuickSwap have? What does PancakeSwap have? What do all these other, Sushi, what do all these tokens have that is different about PulseChain? Are you guys starting to see something different? You noticing something different? In every one of these systems, the token that you're getting rewarded with is the same token that you're staking with, or that has the buy and burn function, or that has the sell pressure, right? So the innovation here, guys, what the innovation really is you're extracting the rewards token from the utility token. So the rewards token is a different token than the utility token. PulseX, the utility token, is, benefits based on the success of the platform. It may also have staking, who knows? Just a little teaser, I don't want to promise anything. And it's not the token that you're getting rewarded with in yield farming. You get another token to then dump on the market. So I don't actually know what kind of tricks Richard can pull out of his sleeve to get people to stop dumping the yield farming reward token. Maybe we'll even call it dump coin, DUMP. But I don't see any reason to hold it right now, and that's because there's literally no information about it. Now, I'm sure Richard's already thinking about it. And I'm sure, if there are thoughts that you might have, in the chat room of PulseX, maybe talk about it there. But by separating the token in which you have platform utility from the token that you get rewarded by, you basically have an offshoot for all the sell pressure to go. So again, maybe there will be some kind of reason to hold the PulseX reward token, but it doesn't matter because PulseX is deflationary with the buy and burn, and you have no reason to sell that when you can continue to use it to earn the additional, no-name token and just dump that token to oblivion, right? And again, I know Richard Hart hates, making anything that goes down in price, but that's why you see a lot of coins like not having the ability to really reach new all-time highs. PancakeSwap and QuickSwap are just two examples. Yeah, Cake did okay, let's not lie about that, but it could have done a lot better if people weren't perpetually selling it because they're earning staking rewards also in Cake every day. If they were earning staking rewards in some other token and they could offload that and dump that one on the market, maybe there would be even less sell pressure and this chart would look a lot better. So kudos to Richard Hart on that idea. That's really the crux of this whole strategy. And again, guys, when you are a PulseX holder, which I'm sure you're going to be, you get to vote in this decentralized autonomous organization, this DAO, and you get to have a say in which pools you want to reward. Hopefully it's hacks, e-hacks, PulseChain related things. Time will tell. Hope you guys learned something on this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, turn the notification bell on. It all takes 10 seconds and it helps this thing go viral. So pump your own bags, guys. You know the deal. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.